let's move on to comic book movies because me and superheroes, me and Bob, we're big comic book fans. We're big on comic book movies and stuff like that. So me and Bob are also one of the few people who actually love Batman v Superman. I like the fact that there's a good YouTube video. It's called what is it? It's Batman v Superman Christian imagery or something like that, where they show that Superman's like Jesus, and then Batman's like ordinary man, and then when man encounters, because when Superman dies, Batman becomes or Bruce Wayne becomes a better person because of, spoiler for those who didn't see the movie, in the end of Batman v Superman, Superman dies, and then Batman becomes a better person. He stops becoming like a Punisher type vigilante, and he becomes a hero again. He becomes Batman again. So there are two deaths that changed Bruce Wayne's thinking. It was when his parents died, and then when Superman died. So he becomes Batman when his parents died, and he becomes Batman again when Superman dies. So can you expand on that? And what were your thoughts on Batman v Superman, the Ultimate Edition? Do you see the Ultimate?
Yes, I did. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I really loved it. I understand the criticism that they tried to crowd too much in, but I don't think that really ruins it. It was an appropriate denouement, the whole doomsday thing, because they were trying to resolve the General Zod business from Man of Steel. You knew something had to come of that, and why not? And the essential thing, if you read the Death of Superman comics back in the 90s, that was long and drawn out. The Justice League tried to stop Doomsday. They couldn't. This one tried to stop him. That one tried to stop him. Superman tried to stop him, and finally had the shootout at the OK Corral when both of them died. But you didn't really need anything that long to get to that conclusion. Just put Superman and Doomsday in the ring together and see what happens. So they just cut to the chase in the movie. I didn't mind that. But I found the fascinating thing about it, which some thought was a weak point, I don't understand, was that Batman thinks Superman is a danger to the world. If he decided to take over the world or destroy the world, he could do it. Even if he's not wanting to do it today, who knows what will happen? And so Batman says, I've got to kill him, prevent the danger, because he's like a false god. He's an alien from space. We got to get rid of him. And he's on the point of doing it with that kryptonite spear when Superman says, he mumbles, save Martha. Well, Bruce Wayne has been reminded several times throughout this film about the tragic death of his parents and so on. And this, of course, is the motivation for his whole shtick. His mother was named Martha, and he wonders if Superman is somehow referring to her. Why didn't you save Martha? Whatever. And Lois Lane says, no, Martha is Superman's mother's name. And suddenly Batman realizes, my gosh, he has parents and cares about them like I do. He is a human. So he instantly changes his mind. Superman, very powerful, but a human like me, and he becomes an ally with Superman. And, as you say, once Superman dies, he figures, I should have helped him. I'm going to try to replace him by gathering other superheroes. And he does now become more noble. He was just sick of the criminals before, would beat him, the hell out of him, and brand him with a bat. Holy mackerel, Batman didn't used to do that. And now he is a more noble character again. I see a lot in that. I mean, I don't care if movies make a point or have something to teach you. I'm into it for entertainment, but this does happen to have an interesting moral to it.
I really loved it. I really liked the fact that I didn't like Lex Luthor. See, that was I was bothered by his performance. So what do you think, Biz? I know you're a big Lex Luthor fan and stuff like that. So can you because wasn't Lex Luthor supposed to be older and bald and stuff like that?
Yeah, and in fact, the whole thing with his hair was funny in that he had originally had red hair, and in a lab accident, it destroyed all of his hair. He went bald, and somehow Superboy was in the neighborhood, and he thought he was the cause of it, and that set Luthor off on this crazed vendetta, and then he was bald. Well, when they rebooted Superman in '87 or something like that, John Byrne,
'86 or something, yeah.
He looked more like the traditional Luthor, but had some of the red hairline receding, but soon he lost it too. So they brought it up to date. Well, that's what happens in the movie too, because Luthor has the long hair, but by the end they've shaved it off and he's in jail. So they finally bring that up. But I kind of liked it when I first heard that this guy was going to play Luthor. I said, "What?
Yeah.
What a mistake!" But when I saw it, I thought this is an interesting take, because he's like a Silicon Valley tech prodigy, and he's a bit of a nut, and it fit that he, with his abilities, he's jealous of Superman, and that's always been the thing with Luthor, that he makes us humans look like bugs. Well, I'll show him, and so he does try that. He's got to defeat Superman and show that he's better, and his being a nut, the way he gestured and talked and so on.
I like the fact that he's manipulating both Batman and Superman to fight one another.
Yeah,
I really like that, and I like the fact that that Martha moment that humanizes both of them, and then they're like, wait a minute, we got another enemy, we got other problems besides our own. With the whole Doomsday thing, so I really like that. Yeah.
Yeah, that was really good in Luthor. I mean, even in the comics, Luthor wasn't a mass murderer. Yeah. This guy is a total sociopath, and he wants to vindicate humanity, but he has contempt for human beings. He's what he's fighting against, and of course he then sells out the world to Darkseid. He has set the beacon for Darkseid and Steppenwolf to come and take over the Earth. So there's like Benedict Arnold or whatever. So he's really villainous, and I kind of like that this weirdo is the big problem.
Did you like the what do you call it, the dream sequence or whatever, the nightmare sequence with the Darkseid cameo or whatever, and the parademons, and then you know what's an interesting image is when Superman comes down and then there's Batman chained up and then there's the two other guys. It kind of reminds you of the crucifixion, right? Because there's Jesus and then there's two robbers besides Jesus.
Interesting.
And then somebody had some interesting theories on that, and then Superman kills both of them, and then he kills Batman by just ripping his heart out or whatever.
And isn't this what Batman was afraid would happen? And I think we're supposed to understand this as a vision of the future, as when he dreams that the Flash appears from the future and says, "You were right about him.
You were right."
And
it was Lois. Yeah.
And so that's right. It all boils down to her, and then he says to Batman in that other dream that you've taken her away from me, and which is very much like Batman's motivation when he lost his parents.
Yeah.
I was sure that in the Justice League we were going to see Darkseid raise Superman from the dead and make him into his champion, which has happened in the cartoons and the comics 2 or 3 times, and that's what we were seeing. These Darkseid troops that had Superman's insignia, they're Superman's stormtroopers, and then the huge Omega in the desert, and the parademons, that the invasion that Luthor invited had happened with Superman at the helm of it, and so Batman was right, but they didn't go that way. I don't know if they're holding it in reserve. They did have the element of the risen Superman being hostile, but what was that, just disorientation? Or what?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, they didn't really, there was no black suit either.
Right, there was, but they chopped that footage.
They took out all the good stuff.
Yeah, sad. In Zack Snyder's version of it, Batman is knocked out or something and wakes up, and he's with Kilowog and Tomari, two of the alien Green Lanterns.
Oh, gosh.
Boy, I hope.
Yeah, there was no Green Lantern. Yeah, there's no Green Lantern. They took out all the good Justice League. So yeah,
no, I admit I've never cared for the Cyborg as a character.
Yeah.
He just seemed to me a prop. He was just a piece of technology which did short shrift to the character. I have to admit, I kind of began to like the character after seeing him in the movie.
Yeah, it was Ezra Miller's take was an interesting take. So then that brings me to the Flash TV show. He said it was a controverted soap.
Oh yeah, it's a soap opera. It's written to get women viewers. It's like a romance novel, and the same thing with Green Arrow with Oliver, Drama Queen. It's just sickening. All the gooey soap operatic stuff. Every episode contains somebody saying to somebody else, "It's not your fault."
It's not.
I mean. What the heck? It's all about soap opera and mutual accusations, self-accusations, don't feel so bad, and then it's punctuated by Punch and Judy fights that are too fast for the eye to follow. I can't even tell who's hitting who, and then it's back to the soap opera. You think Barry and Iris are together, but oh no, for some vague and undefined reason, they have to temporarily break. Come on, I just couldn't live with myself and keep watching the stuff.
You know, it was you remind me of Smallville. Because in Smallville, there was always Clark Kent end up with Lana Lang. And then they always threw these like strange obstacles in their way,
yeah,
and stuff like that. And then there's a really good one where in the 100th episode of Smallville, Clark goes back in time, and then Lana dies because of Lex Luthor, and then Clark goes back in time, and then Lana lives, and then Jonathan dies. So so I thought that was
wow.
I thought that was a good. But yeah, I understand the soap opera. They always throw in like this teen angst, drama, and stuff like that. You know,
I mean, you got romance in Man of Steel, but it doesn't descend to that.
It's more like adult. Yeah, that's more like that's a more mature relation. But this is like teen drama. You know, I never had those many problems.
Yeah,
when I was younger.
Yeah, I just can't accept these characters as the Flash and Green Arrow. I've followed these guys since 1960. It's just a betrayal of it. There's some decent little things here and there, but and nothing ever happens. It takes forever. And
don't the fight scenes like at last 2 minutes or something?
Yeah. And with how many super speed people can there be?
Yeah, I mean, Reverse Flash, Wally West, and who else? Reverse Flash, Wally West.
Zoom, Jesse Quick, Savitar. There's like Rival. There's like 4 super speed villains, and then 3 redundant super speed heroes that, like, you wouldn't even know who Jesse Quick was. I mean, there's a big backstory about her in some years worth of comics. She's the daughter of Johnny Quick, who was a Golden Age counterpart to the Flash, because DC Comics was a kind of a merger of American Comics, which had Jay Garrick, the Flash, and National Comics, which had Johnny Quick as the super speedster. And so when they merged, you now have one too many speedsters. And then they bought the Quality Comics heroes, and so they brought in Max Mercury. I don't know if he's on the show yet. Probably. I don't know how they can resist throwing him into the batch. But I did like when they brought Jay Garrick in, but they fumbled that. It turns out, well, he's really a Zoom, and he's a psychopathic criminal, but there's another Jay Garrick from yet another Earth. Well, as long as we got to see Wesley Shipp as the Golden Age Flash, I liked that, but there's just too much gooey soap opera. for me.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's obviously it's designed for like teenagers and like like you said, young women or something like that because it must be working because the ratings.
Yeah, well, all right, it's just not my thing.
Okay.
There's like women's fantasy, Marion Zimmer Bradley and Anne McCaffrey and all that. A guy sent me a story for one of my anthologies that I could see was really written for that market. There were unicorns and purple flames and cat people. I said, this is not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for Conan. But it's so, a guy wrote this, but you can easily tell what's like women's romance fantasy and what's big dumb male fantasy.
Yeah, well, there's a saying in Hollywood that if you want to get rich, then you got to tune into the fantasies of like young women. And that's true if you think of our 12-year-old girls or whatever. So if you want to get rich, you gotta write stories for like little girls or young women or stuff like that.
Though they managed to avoid that with Wonder Woman. I thought they did a great job.
What were your thoughts on Wonder Woman?
Well, it was a little too much like Captain America, the First Avenger, but I didn't really care. It was its own thing, and I thought they picked a great actress for it, and I liked the action. I found some of the premise a little bit confusing with General Ludendorff, or whatever his name was. They were leading you to believe he was Ares, and he wasn't, and it was this... I found it funny that the guy that turns out to be Ares is this pompous British guy who looks the part even when he's wearing that armor. Smedley, would you like another cup of tea? It didn't seem right, but these are minor quibbles. I really did like it a lot.
Oh, okay, I liked the fact that Batman Begins-ified the villain, because in Batman Begins, there's a mislead on who Ra's al Ghul is.
Yeah.
Like in the first scene, you think it was that one guy, and then it turns out to be Liam Neeson towards the end. So I like the fact that they misled the audience and stuff like that. Speaking of Batman Begins, what were your thoughts on the Dark Knight trilogy? Batman Begins, The Dark Knight, The Dark Knight Rises.
I think they're really well done. Somehow I don't really like them. I can't explain it. It's subjective. I liked all of them better once I saw the third one, though, for some reason. But I don't really have criticisms to level. It's somehow they leave me cold. I can't say why. Like Heath Ledger was super as the Joker. And there's a lot to like, but somehow it's, I don't know what it is. I guess just some quirk of mine.
Oh, okay. So it was like too realistic for you or something?
I don't know. I can't. It's like the same thing with Thor, The Dark World. A lot of neat stuff in there, but somehow, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure there's some deep-rooted psychosis that makes me not like them, but in a way I did. I mean, I think they're all excellently made and so on, but...
Oh, okay. Yeah, I love Batman Begins.
I understand, yeah.
Stuff, The Dark Knight Rises and things like that. I like the fact that they took Batman and they broke his back, and then a few minutes later they fixed it.
In the comics, that was much more of a big deal, getting him back in shape, whereas this guy just kicks his vertebrae back in place. That's impossible, isn't it? I mean, somebody needs to explain to me, or as Jack Nicholson's Joker would say, what kind of world are we living in when a Tibetan has an Arabic name? Ra's al Ghul, and he's got this fortress in Tibet, and this guy who's supposed to be Ra's al Ghul is a Tibetan. Of course, it doesn't fit Liam Neeson either, but... What is this? Plus, it always galls me that they say it means the demon's head.
The demon's head in Arabic, yeah.
But I don't think that's the case. Doesn't it mean prince of demons?
No,
because
it means
Raz in Hebrew means either literal head or head of the organization, a chief. And that would make a lot more sense to me if it meant prince of the demons.
No, I think it means the devil's head in Arabic, yeah. So I don't know what they were thinking there. Maybe they had a different origin for the character. But
Neil Adams created him.
Oh, okay. So yeah, what were your thoughts on Green Lantern? Green Lantern was the one they tried to reboot the whole DC thing, but they failed. But Green Lantern was considered a flop, or financially it didn't make as much money as possible. But did you have thoughts on Green Lantern?
I just saw it again the other day on TV. I really liked it. It could have been even better, but I'm not sure what all the screaming was about. The only thing I didn't like was when Hal Jordan is in that plane and nearly crashes it because he becomes paralyzed thinking of his father's death in the plane. I mean, this was like 10 or 20 years before. He's still that shook up about it. It struck me as, again, more of this therapeutic, everybody's screwed up, let's just have a big cry about everything. And Jeff Johns was one of the advisors, and he's a little too much into the human interest stuff in the comics for me, though he's a genius. But that was about it. I thought the whole thing was very interesting. The Oa and the Green Lanterns and the Guardians. Parallax wasn't like it was in the comics, but I thought it was pretty impressive, and I liked it.
Oh, okay. Did you see you saw the Star Wars movies, right, and stuff, Force Awakens and stuff like that, and you had bad things to say about the Star Wars. So can you talk a little bit about? So I'm a big Star Wars fan, but I'm not a big fan of the Disney ones. Force Awakens and The Last Jedi. I think Disney's just trying to milk out the thing to make more money. So your thoughts on Star Wars and stuff like that?
Well, I was a Star Wars fanatic when it came out. I was there at the theater in May of 1977 on the very first day, and I was really blown away by it, and I saw it over the next year, I guess, about 25 times in the theater. I'd never do that now, even though I'm a nut in other ways. But I loved it, and naturally I loved the main character, Darth Vader. He was by far the most interesting. I saw Empire Strikes Back a couple of times in the theater, and it started to weaken. The dialogue between Han Solo and Princess Leia struck me as being borrowed from a bad piece of fan fiction. I didn't like that. And then when he goes to Dagobah and meets Fozzie Bear, who trains him as a Jedi, no, this is a ruined film, did I not? That I couldn't stomach. I didn't like the fact that they made a second Han Solo with Lando. I mean, had he been the character all along, that'd be great, but you don't really need this guy. He's just like a clone of Han Solo. But I love the encounter between Darth Vader and Luke, and the big revelation at the end. I am your father. That was some jerk even spoiled that for me on the way to the theater, but it was so powerful. Somehow the way they did it, I loved it. But then we came up with the Ewok movie, where Jedi, the teddy bears defeat the galactic stormtroopers. No, and the Sesame Street music and all of that. I just and it was already so repetitive from the first one. Let's have another Death Star, and they ruined Darth Vader's character. Now he's just a helpless flunky of the Emperor until he can't take it anymore. In the earlier movies, he's conspiring to overthrow the Emperor. What happened? Too much Prozac or something. And then the three prequels I thought were a little too silly, like the drag race
pod racing. Yeah,
I liked Qui-Gon Jinn. I wish the whole thing had been about him. He was a real good character.
Yeah, they killed him off too early, right?
Yeah. And then later they say that somehow he wasn't merged into the Force, and he's gonna, in his ghostly form, complete Obi-Wan's training or something. Well, we never hear any more about that. I mean, I thought he was one of my favorite characters. And then the business with the frogs, the lily pad empire, where these frogs suddenly have the technology to build plasma bombs. What? Come on! It can be fantasy, but it shouldn't be absurd. And that was. And the fact that they've got the guy that's going to grow up to be Darth Vader, Anakin Skywalker, is this tow-headed little kid like from the old Lassie TV series, and they start calling him Annie, a little orphan Annie. Get out of here! I just couldn't stomach that. And Jar Jar, oh good God.
Yeah.
And I don't easily accuse people of racism. That's become hysteria, but you couldn't deny that Jar Jar was the step and fetch it stereotype. I shudder. Oh boy, I tell you. And then the next one wasn't quite so bad, but I just wasn't that impressed with it. And some of the stupid lines in the third one, where Obi-Wan says to Anakin, only the Sith believe in absolutes.
Yeah, the third one.
What? I don't see what sense that makes. It just makes surely it would be the other way around. I mean, if you're on the bright side of the Force, you must believe in right and wrong. Now, what is he talking about? It just seemed stupid to me. And
yeah, I liked episode 3. I thought episode 3 was good, but even though there were some weak moments in that movie.
Yeah, I often make that kind of balanced, nuanced judgment, but and I liked seeing the end where Darth Vader is reintroduced. But one problem I had with that, and maybe I misunderstood, they're standing on Vader and Tarkin are standing on the bridge of the Death Star, and while they've delivered Luke and Leia to Owen and the other guy, Antilles, whatever, you get the impression that Darth Vader and Tarkin are going to be standing there for the next 20 years. I mean, it's like they're setting it up to mesh with so-called episode 4. What are they going to just hang around there for the whole time? But Rogue One, I liked a lot.
You like Rogue? Yeah, I like Rogue One. I like the last scene of Rogue One when Darth Vader was like killing all those.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's classic Darth Vader.
Give me more Darth Vader.
Yeah, Darth Vader.
Make movies about Darth Vader.
And then they brought back the Force. Remember in like episode 1 where the Force was just like the midi-chlorians or some bullshit like that?
Oh yeah.
And then they were like, what the fuck is that? And then Star Wars Rogue One brought back the religious aspect of the Force. So I like that when the guy was like saying the Force, I am one with the Force, and the Force was with me when he's walking towards the.
Yeah, that was good.
It's like that. It's like that psalm, like though I walk in the shadow of the valley of death.
Yeah,
it kind of reminds you of that. So I like the fact that they brought back the Force as some religious thing, but then the prequels just takes it to a completely different direction.
Yeah, how can you learn the ways of the Force if you have to be genetically predisposed to do it?
Yeah, it just doesn't make any sense. It's like saying God's like living in your cells or something.
Yeah, they're just debunking it by naturalizing it.
Yeah, it just doesn't make any sense. So, what are you a big fan of Family Guy? You know, like
I've hardly ever seen it.
Okay.
I've seen a few clips that are hilariously funny, but there are other ones I saw that are so crude that I figured I just don't want to get into this. But I admit Seth MacFarlane's mighty funny, and there's some real good stuff in it.
Like Brian the dog's an atheist, so he's like right up your alley. And then there's this really good episode where he actually states he's atheist, and everybody turns against him.
Oh boy!
So has that ever occurred to you? Has that ever happened to you where you say you're an atheist and all of a sudden it gets silent or there's a hostile audience or anything like that?
No, but I did have that happen when I exited fundamentalism. There were friends that I would happen to see in a bookstore or whatever who would just walk right past me. And I thought, boy, that's unfortunate because I don't dislike them or anything. But I realize it's a threat to them. Wait a minute, this guy was a leader in the group and now he doesn't believe it. I don't want to get infected. So I can understand that. But I don't get negativity at any debates or events. I've had one or two people.
So you don't get like alienated by people, or
no,
except for those times.
Yeah, and I can count those on two fingers. In fact, one of those guys was an atheist. He didn't like the fact that I disagreed with Richard Dawkins on something. But I've almost always had just totally cordial, friendly relations with both the people I debate and the people in the audience. What I say is so alien to them. I've found that many of them want to know more about it. They say, how can you think this? Why do you think it? And they're genuinely curious. Yeah, I've got no problem with that, and they don't seem to have a problem with me. So I've always been pleasantly surprised at that.
Oh, okay. What else was I going to say? How many cats do you have, Bob?
4.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, they're great. We've always tried to have 2 at a time, and we had this beautiful white kitty, Pixie, and then we got Charlie, who I think just sort of showed up on the porch once, and he was kind of fun, but he ran away once, and one of my daughters was really heartbroken, so she found a substitute that kind of looked like him, so we called him Harley, and he's really a sweet, affectionate cat, and then that was going to be it. But one morning, my other daughter, I was taking her to school or something, and here on the porch is this shivering little Siamese cat. And my wife always was a sucker for Siamese cats, so we figured, okay, we're going to get a 3rd cat. And sure enough, we brought her in to my wife, and this one we named. Which one? Yeah, Merlin. One of my daughters named him that. And then we figured, okay, that's got to be it. But where my daughter worked, somebody had brought in a stray kitten, incredibly sweet, and so we adopted him, and he was named Onyx after one of the Pokemon. And they are so fascinating and hilarious every day. They're so cute and they do funny things.
Yeah, like my cat, I used to have another cat, like he would like kill birds and put it on my front porch. Has that ever happened to you?
Yeah, once or twice. I think Pixie has done that. They if there's a mouse, they'll hunt him down and so on. But yeah, they love you when they do that. They want to give you an offering, and it's like it puts you in a funny position because it's sort of horrifying, but you have to say, oh, a good kitty, because they're doing what comes naturally. And
yeah, my cat would I would open the door, and then in the morning it would just run out, and then it would walk on the sidewalk.
Now my Pixie does that. Yeah.
It wouldn't even go on the road. It would just take its morning walk on the sidewalk and it would come back. So.
Well, Pixie rolls around on, she must like the scratchy feeling of the pavement, and she gets immediately filthy, but by the time she wants to come back in, she's knocked all that stuff off. They're so, Descartes once said that animals are basically machines made out of flesh. And you wonder, had he ever seen an animal? I mean, it's so absurd. They're little people in their own right.
Yeah, that's true. So are you a big animal rights person and stuff like that?
Well, I'm not, but I have to admit, seeing these animals up close, it softens me a little more on that. I guess it's easy to see, you can catch fish and it's no big deal, but these little critters that have real personalities and emotions, that's you do begin to think, yeah, they're really a kind of person. So
Oh,
So it's a weird thing.
Yeah, so me and Bob, we have another thing in common. We like cats. We don't like dogs. Do you like dogs?
Oh, I do, but I just don't want to have one because it's a pain in the neck to take care of it.
And you have to walk it out.
Yeah, forget it.
Like too much work.
Yeah, I used to have a sweet little dog, a Chihuahua named Prissy, long ago, and I just couldn't. I did take her out for walks and all that, but I don't want to do that anymore, especially with the pooper scooper laws. Just forget it. I'm not going to. As Gandhi's wife once said, it is the work of untouchables. You're not kidding, and I ain't going to do it.
Oh, okay. I forgot to mention about, can you tell us the problems with the Old Testament, why the Old Testament books like the book of Genesis, Exodus, and, the Kings and all that, the patriarchal stories, and the David and Solomon story, and why the Old Testament in general is not historically reliable, and things like that. Because fundamentalists will say, yeah, there's archaeological diggings proving the Old Testament, so...
Well, there's some of it is so obviously mythic, like Adam and Eve and Noah and the Ark, that you really, I don't know how people can defend that as history with a straight face. That's just, I remember one Southern Baptist guy, a seminary administrator, said something like, I don't know how a man can be in the ministry if he doesn't believe in a literal Adam and Eve. And I thought, I don't know how you can not be in the insane asylum if you do. It just doesn't work, and it's pathetic to see people try to rationalize it and harmonize it with paleontology. My friend Ed Swoman and I wrote a book called Evolving Out of Eden, Christian Responses to Evolution, and we deal with all that stuff, not just the raw fundies with the creationism, but the theistic evolutionists who are more sophisticated and try to put a good face on it. Forget it, it doesn't work. But so that stuff's obviously myth, and don't get me started on Noah's Ark, the absurdities of that. But of course a lot of the Old Testament is not like that, and it's apparent history with Joshua and David. I mean, people have visions of God, but of course people still do, whatever it is. Hallucinations, I don't know, but that's not implausible. But the problem is that you're reading anecdotes of what happens to individuals in private that nobody would have known to pass on. David said this, Bathsheba said that, Abraham said this, Sarah answered that. Who could have kept these private conversations alive in memory? It's just ridiculous. As Hermann Gunkel once pointed out, you're telling me that Israelites were in Egypt for 4 centuries and nothing is recorded about what happened, but with Abraham and Sarah, who allegedly lived before then, we actually hear the dialogue they had over whether or not to kick out Hagar. It's absurd. It's novelistic, and that's one of the big differences between fiction writing and history, and it's obviously novelistic. So that's a huge problem, but maybe the death blow is this archaeology thing. William F. Albright, who was a Presbyterian and trying to prove that the Bible was essentially historical, he played a kind of pin the tail on the Bible game. He and his students would do archaeological digs, and if they found something that might have been a biblical location, okay, that's what it is. There's the ruins of a city under the Dead Sea, gotta be Sodom and Gomorrah. Without any real evidence. I mean, occasionally they actually have found one of these towns with its name on something, but on the whole, no. And they just, oh, this ought to be this ought to be that. Like Constantine's mother sending people to the Holy Land to find the true tomb of Jesus, the true cross, and all this stuff. How could you possibly tell after 300 years? Oh, they couldn't, and they didn't. They just, oh, here's a tomb. I guess this was it. And that's why there's more than one Golgotha, more than one tomb and all that. That's what Albright was essentially doing, and that's why apologists felt entitled to say the Bible's historicity had been vindicated by archaeology, but it hadn't. And now the methodology is different. Those assumptions are not there. And so today's archaeologists have rendered just the opposite verdict. Like, there was no great city of Jerusalem. There was no royal palace of David. There was no temple of Solomon, because you can tell whether there would be ruins, and there are not. And what happened? Did God send angels down with vacuum cleaners as if they were cleaning up a ticker tape parade on a city street? It's just ridiculous. There can't have been such a thing. There was no exodus, because we have the technology through infrared detection to uncover old caravan routes through the Sinai Desert, but there is no sign of an exodus from Egypt, no matter which hypothetical route you pick. A transition of millions of people and huge herds of cattle, no evidence. There'd be loads of evidence if it happened. It simply didn't. There was no conquest of Canaan. You would find all kinds of ruined cities. You don't. It just didn't happen. And so archaeology has put Christians in the same boat it has Mormons, because there are all kinds of statements about Nephite and Lamanite cities and armor and so on. Where? Like, there's no vestige of it. And so and of course they were really finished off by genetic testing that showed that American Indians have no Semitic or Near Eastern genes. So much for that. I mean, that blows the whole thing out of the water. And so that's like Solomon may have been based on Alexander the Great. He has a great empire. He dies, and it's divided into more than one kingdom after he does. Who knows? But it looks like the Old Testament may be written much, much later than we thought, in maybe not just a century before the New Testament. It's shocking, the re-examinations that are going on.
So there's no way. There's no way to prove that, Adam, Eve, David, Abraham, Isaac, Ishmael, all those Old Testament figures, those major ones, David, Solomon, and those minor ones like what's his name, Joshua and Amos and all those people, Daniel. There's no way to prove those people existed, or were they real people but put in fictional stories?
Well, it could be the latter, and with later characters like some of the kings of Israel, like Jehoshaphat and Ahaz and Omri, another version of the name Omar, interestingly. These guys do seem to have existed, and they did have a kingdom called Israel. There are extra biblical monuments that show that, but these great heroes and culture heroes and founders and all that, the problem is that if you take away the temple, what have you got left to say about Solomon? He's the great builder and all of that. If there weren't even enough people in the southern area to have a kingdom, what happens to the story of David doing a census to see how many military men he can have? It just presupposes a much later anachronistic setting. So some will try to distill some vestige and say, well, maybe there was some sort of a bandit chief that David was based on, which is exactly what they do with King Arthur. They say, well, maybe in the 6th century there was a Romano-British war chief named Arthur. Not that there's any real reason to think so. They're just saying it's like there must have been a Clark Kent. It's Niels Peter Lemke says, these are just rationalizing paraphrases. They're trying to just give you a cloudy view of the story and get rid of all the stuff that is obviously mythic and say, well, maybe the rest of it's true. There's just no reason to do that. Any document, as David Friedrich Strauss said, is as reliable as its most unreliable feature. That if it's saying this kind of crazy thing, forget it. Whatever else it says, incidentally, is not to be taken seriously either.
Oh, okay, because Islam doesn't accept the Bible anyway, so I don't have any problems criticizing the Bible.
What about the people of the book thing, and that Jesus brought the Injil, David, the Psalms, and so on?
According to Islam, Jesus brought the Gospel, not the New Testament. But the Gospel is not the New Testament. The Gospel is some kind of revelation given to Jesus, not necessarily written, not necessarily a written form, but maybe like an oral message or something like that. So that's the Gospel of Jesus, but the Gospel of Jesus is not the New Testament Gospels, because the New Testament came, even the most conservative Christian apologists would say the New Testament came after Jesus. People wrote down the New Testament. It just didn't fall out of the sky or whatever. Same thing with the Old Testament, same thing with the Torah. There was a Torah revealed to Moses. It wasn't written about Moses. Same thing with the Injil or the Gospel. It was Injil. It was a Gospel revealed to Jesus, not written about him.
Okay.
So Islam kind of has a different view on the Bible than like, it's not like the Protestant version or the Catholic, but doesn't the Protestant version have less books than the Catholic version?
Yeah, the most Christians after a while were Greek, Greco-Roman, etc., and they read the Greek Old Testament, the Septuagint, which had more books in it. But the Palestinian rabbis didn't accept the books that only existed in Greek, like Tobit, Judith, Maccabees, Sirach, Wisdom of Solomon, etc. And so since most Christians were Greek speakers, they just chose the Greek Bible, I guess by default, really. And then there were some rare people that thought they shouldn't have done it. Like, I think St. Jerome thought that really we ought to go with the ones that are just in Hebrew, though he didn't mind Greek ones. He translated the whole thing into Latin. But then at the Protestant Reformation, Martin Luther also thought that these books that are only in the Septuagint, well, he thought it better to go with the Palestinian Jewish, the rabbinic canon, and so he kicked out the other one. Well, actually, he didn't think there was much wrong with them. He just didn't think they were inspired scripture. The Bible, even Protestant, like the King James, until I think it was 1823, contained the Apocrypha. They just thought, well, this is edifying stuff, but it's not the infallible Word of God. Now, Protestants just say, who needs it?
Oh, okay. So, best graphic novel you've ever read? Mine was The Dark Knight Returns with
great,
Batman and Superman fighting.
Yeah, that was terrific. I think my absolute favorite is The Watchmen by Alan Moore and Dave Gibbons, but close second would be Kingdom Come, Mark Waid and Alex Ross. They're both, in my opinion, brilliant. So's The Dark Knight Returns. They're just great stuff. Real literature, and all three of them have a different take on the very comics they're based on, and it's really fascinating what they do. Like, in the future, in a decade in the future, Batman is retired, but things have gotten so bad in Gotham City, he decides to come out of retirement. And he's fighting this mutant leader, and
The Dark Knight Returns. Yeah.
And by the end of the thing, like, Commissioner Gordon has retired, and the new commissioner thinks Batman is the villain, so the police are hunting him down. But they're forgiving the Joker and Two-Face. Well, you're the victim here. And there's Frank Miller is a conservative too. So at the end, he has Batman lead a revolution. That's beginning, and it's not what you find in the ordinary comics.
Yeah, I like the fact that they had they had Superman as a government stooge, and then they had Batman as the rebel, and stuff like that. So then people who read that book and analyzed that book say that Batman was the fascist, and Superman was the government authority and stuff like that.
I can see that because it's like beyond the point of nice, calm civility. And in The Dark Knight Strikes Back, we're told that Lex Luthor is running the country. I didn't like that too much because I preferred the original vision that now this is just the way things evolved.
Yeah.
But I really like that. They had the same idea of the heroes being persecuted by the government in The Watchmen. Because they once were the big heroes and they worked for the government. Dr. Manhattan single-handedly won the Vietnam War, but eventually they turned on him and outlawed him, and Rorschach was the only one because he was a real loose cannon. So fascinating.
Oh yeah, so fascinating. Yeah, I love it all. Marvel or DC?
I love them both. Yeah, they're all such great characters, and they've all unreasonably multiplied the superheroes. So there's some really stupid ones like the Dazzler and this roller disco superhero. What are you thinking? And I mean, once that craze was over, I thought they'd retired her, but no, she's still around. So there's a whole bunch of stupid superheroes, but the main ones in both companies I really loved.
Did you like Spider-Man Homecoming and the whole Iron Man series and stuff like that?
Yeah, the Homecoming left me a little less enthusiastic than the first two Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies, but I liked it. I thought it was real good, and I liked Iron Man's participation.
I like how Batman actors are getting older and older, and Spider-Man actors are getting younger and younger. I noticed because Christian Bale was younger than Ben Affleck, and like this one, he's devolving. Like Andrew Garfield was older than Tom Holland. The actors that play him. I don't know. Did you see The Amazing Spider-Man?
Yeah.
1 and 2, the one with the lizard and the other one with the Electro.
Yeah, I like the one with the lizard, and I really like the way they depicted him, more like Steve Ditko had originally designed him, whereas John Romita made him like the guy in the movie The Alligator People, which I'm sure the lizard was based on, but he gives him this long crocodile snout, and I thought...
with the lab coat and everything? Yeah.
That was... I just didn't like that. I preferred the snub-nosed version of Steve Ditko, and they kind of restored that.
Did you like Gwen Stacy's death when she dies at the end of The Amazing Spider-Man 2?
Well, that's based right on the comics, but I never really cared much about either of his girlfriends. That, to me, really the superhero is the center of it, but I'm glad they had the guts to do it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because I really liked Iron Man and things like that. Do you like what did you say? You like the first one, or?
Oh yeah, and I like the second one a lot too. The third one I thought was real good. Somehow, after a couple of years, in some ways I don't like it, but it's again, that's my weird quirk. I don't know why. I think they did a fine job with it, and I wish there'd be an Iron Man 4, because they certainly anticipated with that All Hail the King short they did, where somebody breaks the Trevor out of the jail because he's the false Mandarin and he's in trouble with the real one. Oh boy, how I would love to see that, but I don't think they're going to make it.
Did you like the mislead they did with the villain? Like, they tried to Batman Begins the thing with the villain being somebody else other than you think the Mandarin was this Osama bin Laden guy with the rings and everything, and it turns out to be that other guy. Even what's his name, Killian, yeah.
He says, I'm the Mandarin, but it's obvious he means I'm the one that's really behind this. And I'm sure it's not supposed to be him in the anticipated fourth one. I think it has to be the guy who was the terrorist leader in the first one, because he's already got the 10 Rings banner, and he's talking about him conquering Asia. The Mandarin was originally supposed to to share the villain spotlight with the Ironmonger, but they decided that was too villain heavy and downgraded the Mandarin to this chieftain, really, but he's playing the role of the Mandarin without being called that. They should have kept that. And for my money, if they make the fourth one, that guy will return as the Mandarin.
Oh, okay.
But I didn't like him yanking the rug out from under us, because I couldn't believe that the guy that appeared in all of those threatening videos as the Mandarin was this stupid drunk. It seemed incredible to me. I mean, implausible. You have to have some sense of verisimilitude in these things, and to think that the guy is on, "You'll never see me coming," is really, "Let's have another beer." I just get out of here. But what the heck, who cares? I love the Iron Patriot.
Yeah. I really liked the Avengers movies.
Ooh,
the first one and the second one, and they're doing the third one, Infinity Wars, with Thanos.
Yeah.
It was like a rip-off of Darkseid.
Yeah. I think they admit that. So, have you seen pictures of Thanos in this movie?
Yeah, I have. With the Infinity Stones.
And no helmet? He looks like Homer Simpson. It's inexplicable. They've shown him 2 or 3 times looking like he does in the comics with his nifty helmet, but now, no, he just looks like your thumb. That's Thanos. That's inexplicable. I hope they manage to pull it out after all. But
oh, yeah, okay. Okay, yeah. Any kind of last words or some kind of final advice to my viewers? Anybody who's interested in the origins of not just Christianity but religious truth? What would your advice be to find religious truth and stuff like that?
That is something I once would have preached about, but the longer I've lived and the more I've read, I can't even tell you what spirituality is.
How old are you?
63.
Oh, 63, okay.
Decrepit fossil, in other words. But
you're as sharp as ever.
I feel a sense of the numinous and the holy when I go to some church services.
Have you been to a mosque by any chance?
No, I've had the imam of a mosque come and preach in my church, but I've never actually been to a mosque.
Oh, okay. Oh, I should have taken.
Yeah, I didn't think of that. It didn't occur to me.
Yeah, oh, okay. Oh, okay. Have you been to like a Jewish synagogue and things like that?
Yes, and Greek Orthodox, Russian Orthodox churches, and I think Antiochene and so on. I've been to Baha'i meetings. I don't think they really have sanctuaries. But I went. Was that me? No, I went to an event at a Crowleyite bookstore they had in the back, but it wasn't a service.
Oh, you've never been to the Middle East? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's like mosque all over the place there, yeah.
Well, we have one in tiny little Selma, and an Islamic center down the road in Smithfield. It used to be a oneness Pentecostal church, and they sold it. It's now the Islamic Center of Smithfield. That's fascinating.
Is there a lot of people a lot of Muslims where you live?
I wouldn't have thought so, but I suppose there are enough, because these are small towns, and they each have some years ago, there was something in the paper about an Islamic education center that was going to open in Selma, where I live, and I was interested in contacting them, but I never heard any more about it. But I don't know if it's the same people, but now there is this thing in Smithfield down the road from us. I should get in contact with them.
Do you think because of the age of Trump, Muslims are more like... they're not as open as they used to be?
I couldn't say. I don't have enough experience with them recently to know.
Oh, withdrawn. Oh, okay. But
I have never had anything but the most pleasant encounters with Muslims, but I just haven't happened to meet any there recently.
Oh, okay. Oh, maybe. Well, yeah. Who knows what the real issue is? So yeah, any kind of like last words, or like say follow your curiosity or your passion, or
I think that
is the truth. Is it like what they say in X-Files? The truth is out there, and we should always keep looking.
Though who knows what kind of truth it'll be? Will it be an experience of God, or will it be a realization realization that there isn't one. You can't prescribe it in advance, or the search is a farce and a sham. But I think you have to seek the truth wherever it may lead you, and when you think you have found it, be careful. You never know what's going to turn up. But the search for truth, I think, is paramount, even though it's kind of abstract. But if you don't have that as your conscience, who knows what kind of crazy thing you may wind up in. So it's like a formal principle. It isn't it's like a North Star. You navigate by it. You don't think you're going to get to the North Star, but you navigate by it. And I think that's the way it is with the search for truth. You can't go wrong if you're always zealous for the truth and willing to consider any candidate.
So the truth is out there, right? The truth is out. We just have to keep searching, right?
Well, I don't know that it'll ever be possible to come to a real conclusion. I doubt it, actually.
Like, what did you say in a speech of yours? A mere peepsqueak like me can't know what's beyond.
Yeah, I don't see how that's possible. I mean, even if Jesus came down on Mount Zion, could you be sure it wasn't some kind of a hoax or a special effect? Yeah, I don't know how you would deal with that. I don't know. A lot of things seem true, and then you realize, oh boy, clay feet. I wish I'd have noticed something. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I guess the journey is you got to have integrity on the journey.
It's just the journey that matters. Yeah. Okay, so thank you so much, Dr. Robert M. Price, for joining us.
My pleasure.
Bob came all the way from North Carolina.
Right.
So he's got a 2-hour flight back.
Yeah, it's nothing.
Was it 2 hours?
It's just about 2 hours.
2 hours flight back. So I got to take him to the airport. Mm-hmm. But yeah, thanks for saying so much for coming, Bob.
Oh, it's my privilege. I appreciate you inviting me.
Okay, till next time, guys.